And welcome, it's Dan. Hope you're well. Welcome to the Property Cashflow Show. Can't even say it. We are mega busy, so it's just a quick one today. But I wanted to cover some of the stuff that's going on in the property world right now because I think it's really important that we talk about this stuff because normally you get one angle, and the angle that you get is not necessarily the angle that you should be getting. It's convoluted depending where you get your news from, effectively. So I think it's important that we talk about some of the things that I think is actually going on in the property world. And we've got 4 topics that we're going to talk about. Obviously, is property investing still worth it going into 2024 is a big question that you should be asking yourself. So let's crack off with the first one. We've just been doing a series of interviews with our clients. One of our clients is a company called Landlords Licensing and Defence. And I'm actually going to put the link in the chat box. So hopefully you should be able to see that. If it works, and it's deciding not to work. Anyway, I can't do it, but if you do a search for landlord licensing or landlord defence, then their link will come up. And so it's been really eye-opening because I've been looking through some of these interviews where we've got these little short videos as well, but listening to some of the stories of landlords who've got themselves into a little bit of trouble with either HMO licensing or selective licensing. They either haven't got the right licence or one of them was getting letters for like 7 years, didn't realise it, and then the council just went and fined them like £115,000 on a property worth 220 grand. And obviously Landlord Defence, they stepped in and helped represent the landlords deal with these councils who were, let's just say, being like councils are. I think that's the nicest way I can say that. If you've ever gone through family court, for example, you know what a bunch of twats social workers are. Sorry if you're a social worker, but you're a twat. And if you work for the council, like, we don't rent to council workers anymore. Who do you work for? I'm a bin man. Sorry, mate, we ain't renting to you. We just don't do it. Bollocks to you, quite frankly. You want to treat me like that? That's fine. We'll come back and treat you just the same. So we actually don't even entertain them at all, and we have no time for them. But if you're a landlord and you're up against it with the council, you're going to have some really big fines. And so there's a really good company called Landlord Licensing and Defence. Go and do a search for them and go get those guys involved if you're having a problem with that kind of situation. And then also, if you're thinking about buying a HMO, you should probably go get health and HHRS. I can never remember what it stands for, but it's basically health and safety fire check. Health and safety check, including a fire check. Go get that done before you buy a place, because you'll realise that a lot of these HMOs are actually death traps. Out of many of these that they actually go and investigate, many of these would be fined by the councils, and the fines can be up to 30 grand, and that's, by the way, it's not 30 grand for the whole house, it's 30 grand per thing that you've got wrong. And so they pile these fines on top of each other. It can be really scary. I had selective licensing properties. Guess what I did with mine? I got rid of them. Bollocks to it. I ain't doing it. I'm just not doing it. You know, it's like I had all these costs that I had to do. I had these fire doors that we had to put in. We had fire alarms that we had to put in. We had one of those things from the lounge to the kitchen where you can pass meals through, like a hole, you know, like a server. That had to be bricked up. We had to take the windows out. That wasn't fire safe. And I get, you know, tenants should be fire safe. 100% agree. It should be fire safe. But then neighbour next door burning rubber tyres. No fire doors, no smoke alarms. These are terraced houses. So all these other neighbours who aren't landlords have got zero fire regulations, because for homeowners, and I'm all for fire regulations, 100% think there should be fire regulations, but it should be an even keel. If next door neighbour has got a house burning tyres, having barbecues, zero fire safety, why am I enforced to have fire safety? We should all have it, or none of us have it. I'm all for us all having it, by the way. If that's what is decided, I'm all for that. Whatever those rules and regulations are, we will abide from them because we're good landlords. But homeowners also have to abide from them. You can't just pick and choose random shit. that you go, oh no, you have to abide by them, but you over there, Mr. Private Homeowner, no, you don't have to. Like, this is one of Dan's little rants, by the way, so I apologise in advance if you weren't expecting that. I wasn't expecting it either. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, let's talk about homelessness, shall we? Leading on from selective licensing, I sold my selective licensing properties. Luckily, they went to a landlord, but they didn't have to go to landlords. We had non-landlords interested in buying them, just that they didn't put in a high enough bid, and the landlords bought them. But if not, those houses would have gone to homeowners, and people are like, well, that's great. Homeowners are buying. First-time buyers are buying. That's wonderful. But just because properties go back on the market doesn't mean that first-time buyers magically find, £20,000 or £10,000 deposit from the backside. That's not how it works. It's not, 15 grand down the back of a sofa. Oh, look, I found some money. Now more first-time buyer type properties come on the market. Well, that should flood the market and prices drop. Has that happened? Really? It totally hasn't happened, has it? I know we're in a price crash right now. Ooh, price has gone down 2%. Yeah, that's a real crash. That reminds me, by the way, of Peter Kay and talking about his mum going to Weight Watchers. Oh, I've lost a pound. A pound? I can't say it. I can't say it. But if you know the scene, I'm not going to say it. So, houses dropping 2%. Whoopee-doo. They probably dropped 2% yesterday and went back up in the afternoon. That's not a house price crash. But homelessness is increasing, and I was just looking actually, 38,000, nearly 39,000 households were initially assessed as homeless, and therefore it's up 6.9% from the same quarter last year. 6,000 households threatened with homelessness due to a service of a Section 21. Let's not even get started on Section 21s. That's an increase of 10% from the same quarter last year. Let's get started on Section 21s. There's no such thing as a no-fault claim. Just putting it out there. Oh, God, I'm on a rant today. I do apologise. But just putting it out there, just so everybody knows, there is no such thing as a no-fault claim. If you've got a Section 21, it's because in some way or another, you're being a bit of a dickhead. There you go, I've said it. The dick-headedness is you're not paying your rent on time, you're not paying your rent, it's antisocial behaviour, you've trashed the place, right? If you have got a Section 21 and you've not done any of those things, it's because the landlord can no longer afford the mortgage and he's selling up because he's fed up of being a landlord. Or, like me, it's my 25th year as being an investor in March, 25 goddamn years dealing with idiot tenants. It's an emergency, I need to phone you. Okay, what's up? I'm moving out in 6 months. You dickhead. So, honestly, these are the sort of things that we have to deal with. But there's no such thing as a no-fault claim with a Section 21. It's because you're being a dickhead in some way. The word dickhead isn't a swear word, by the way. Not if you went to my school. 14,000 households were accepted as owed a main homelessness duty, up 19%. From April to June 2022, 105 households were in temporary accommodation, an increase of 10%. I mean, that's just shocking, isn't it? That's statutory homeless figures in England, April to June 2023. Just shocking. And, we need to talk about this, I think. Section 24 is where landlords are no longer able to discount or remove the cost of interest from their income. So now, if interest is, £500 and my rent's £1,000, I make £500, right? And now pay tax on £500. Everybody understands that. But now, at its most basic level, because I can't offset that £500, they do allow me a 20% relief, which is wonderful. But now on that £1,000, I'm paying tax on the whole £1,000 minus the 20%, the £200. So now I'm paying tax on £800. So now the taxable allowance has gone. So I'm now paying tax on an extra £300. Well, where's that money coming from to pay my tax bill? Am I paying it? Well, I am. I'm covering some of it, but rents have gone up. And we talk about rents going up. This is why rents have gone up. This is why there's an increasing homelessness. Landlords are selling up, which leads me nicely on to the next bit. All this, of course, is all woven into each other. But why do you think landlords are selling up? They're selling up, right, because their mortgages have risen significantly, like between 2 and 3 times what the mortgage was. That's how much it's risen by. And then, as a double whammy, yeah, the rent might have gone up from £1,000 to £1,250, but now, because we weren't able to offset the £500 a month, and now let's just say it's a nice easy £1,000 a month, now they can't offset any of that. Now they're paying tax on the £1,250, not the £500. And this is why landlords are going, well, I can't do it. And there's a tsunami of homelessness yet to come, by the way, because these numbers haven't yet been programmed into next year's tax returns. Now, we're almost into next year, but a lot of landlords stick their head in the sand and hoping it doesn't affect them until they do their tax returns. And then when we're doing the tax returns, what's happened? Rents have gone up from £1,000 to £1,250. Let's just say, right? I just put one rent up from £950 to £1,200 because that's the market rent. And because my mortgages have risen by a significant amount, and the cost of handymen has gone up, the cost of plasterboard has gone up, the cost of cleaning's gone up, everything's gone up, petrol's gone up, everything's gone up, right? As we know, as everybody knows. But, and you might be going, well, that's not tenants' fault. And you're absolutely right. None of this is tenants' fault, but it's also not landlords' fault. And the vitriol that landlords get is, I think, very undeserved. Like in my portfolio, we provide very nice houses, very nice places to live. And when a repair comes in, we're on it. We're not waiting weeks for a repair. Like the guy's there next day, depending what kind of day it is, or kind of what repair it is, but also what day it is. You know, if it's a Sunday night, 10 p.m, we ain't getting someone round to fix your boiler at 10 p.m. Like we might get lucky if a guy wants to go out, but even if you were a homeowner, you ain't getting someone around at 10 p.m. But landlords are selling up. And because landlords are selling up, what do you think's then going to happen to homelessness? Well, it's going to increase. And then you get all these idiots coming, oh, it's brilliant, landlords are selling up. Yes, all these properties coming back on the market. Have you seen how many properties are on the market right now? Billions. That might be a slight exaggeration, but there is a lot more property. Shall we have a quick look? I always like to look in LS9 because this is where some of my properties were. We don't have any properties in LS9 because we got rid of them all because we're just not dealing with licensing. 166 results. Let's have a look. LS9, 9DN, I think. Let's try that one. Have a quick search there. And then quarter mile around. Let's just see. 9 results. So it's actually not as many as I thought it was. And I'm guessing it's because most of them have actually gone. Most of them have actually been sold. And actually looking at these, wowzers, prices have gone up. And I actually sold too early, right? So looking at these, they're going for 130 grand. And I got rid of mine for 100 grand. And it's like, I am searching by highest price. But even lowest price, a 2-bed, back to back for 130 grand guide price. So that's an auction property. Another one here at 130 grand. So they've gone up even more. So yeah, you've got all these properties that were coming on the market. Now less properties are on the market. And bear in mind, I bought mine for 37 grand, right? And we're selling around the 100 grand mark. Now they're going for 130,000 pounds. So all these people going, brilliant, all these landlord properties, all these prices are going to drop. Yeah, that's not happening, is it? Idiots. I had a conversation with someone who worked at Roundtree Foundation who deal with kind of poverty and all of that kind of thing. And he's like, brilliant, yeah, tax landlords more. And I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an absolute bell end. Why can you not work out that the more you tax landlords, the more landlords leave, the less rental property? This is not rocket science. This is really basic stuff. And the less property, the more people you got scrambling over the same property, the more that rents are going to go up. And what's happening to rents right now? Oh, rents have gone up. It's not rocket science, is it? And not only have rents gone up, but, you know, there's less property to rent because landlords are going, I ain't doing this anymore. After 25 years for me, I ain't doing it anymore. The attitudes of tenants have all shifted. I'm just looking at rents, by the way, in the same area. £700, £800 for a 1-bed apartment. Good grief. In fact, there is nothing. There's a 2-bed terrace. It looks very nice, by the way. The kitchen's really nice. 975 quid. We were getting £600 for these. This is bonkers. So rents have shot up. Let's just have a look at lowest price. And I've extended this to half a mile around. £700. Half a mile, 700 quid for a crappy 2-bed. £800. Rents have gone up. Everything's gone up. Landlords are selling up. UK government, what are you doing? I actually think they're going to revoke Article 24, Section 24. I think they're going to revoke it. Too late. All these landlords have gone, I'm done. Like me, I'm done. I'm so done. I'm more done than a done thing could be done. I've had enough. 25 years in, and I'm done. The legislation that's coming, the changes that's coming, licensing that's coming, and what happens to landlords? We just get the shit kicked out of us in the news. And we're like, why are we doing this? We got better things to be doing than dealing with a light bulb that's gone out at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night because a tenant doesn't know how to change a goddamn light bulb. And for whatever reason, that's our fault. And then we got tenants who now can't afford heating. So what happens when you can't afford heating? We get a phone call from the council. Your house has got damp. Either you fix it or we're going to come in and fix it. Well, we've had that house 20 years. We've never had any damp. Yeah, well, you got damp now. Well, is the tenant putting the heating on? No, he can't afford it. Right, so now suddenly that's my problem. That's my fault, is it? And now I have to spend thousands more for a problem that really shouldn't exist because the tenant can't afford it. And by the way, it's not my fault the tenant can't afford it. It might not be the tenant's fault that they can't afford it, but if they can't afford it, they need to move out and move into a place that they can afford. Oh, well, that's not fair on a tenant. Yeah, but I want to live at Buckingham Palace. Why? It's not fair that I can't live at Buckingham Palace. Why can't I live there as well? Listen, when I was a kid, when I was a lad, by gum, when I was younger, getting into property, I bought my first house at 26, going on to 27. It was March 1996, is it? Whatever 25 years is in March, that's when it was. That's when I bought my first house. And I was always brought up that you put your work in, you worked hard, you bought what you could afford. If you couldn't afford it, you didn't go out and get big loans for it. And then I learned that through property investing, that would pay for my nice Porsche 911 that I bought when I was age 29. And that's what we did. So the tenants were paying my lifestyle and my Porsche because we invested for the long term. Now, that's out the window, folks. People hate you for doing stuff like that. Oh, you got £1 million in pension? That's disgusting. People, spit on you. They hate it. That's not the world that I was brought up in. I was brought up in this world where you invested for the long term. You lived on potatoes and baked beans. And incidentally, I'm now living on potatoes again because I'm on a goddamn diet and I eat jacket potato and tuna and ketchup and mayonnaise, believe it or not, because you mix it all up and make a nice pink sauce. And that's what I live on every night. It's funny how it kind of comes full circle, albeit for different reasons. But it's like that's what we did. That's what we bought. And if we couldn't afford the rent, we didn't rent somewhere. Or we would work 2 jobs. In fact, that's what we did. I mean, I worked for 40 hours a week at Symphony Kitchens. Shout out to Symphony Kitchens for teaching me some life lessons. And then 20 hours a week, I worked at William Hill taking bets on a phone. I remember having an argument with an old girlfriend. It was a girlfriend from a long time ago. She wasn't old. I remember having an argument. Oh, it's illegal for you to work 60 hours a week. Well, I was doing it, that's what we did, and we saved money to get into the housing market. And for some reason now, tenants, they don't want to pay. Well, I can't afford heating, so now your house has got down. Now what? That's my fault? How does that work? I don't get how that works. Why is this my fault? We had a tenant 2 nights ago. The door had been kicked in apparently by the police at 10 o'clock at night, and she was like, "Well, are you not coming over?" This is not my problem. This is your problem. You need to go sort it out. You've signed your tenancy agreement. This is now your responsibility. Of course, it is my problem because it's always the landlord's problem, isn't it? And I'm like, dude, I'm in Spain. I'm not getting on a plane, traveling 1,000 miles to come and look at your door that's been kicked in, probably because you've been doing something in the house. As it happens, we're getting that door fixed today, hopefully. It's hopefully there in the next hour or so. And then we're into this conversation as well, who's responsible for this door? Not me. I'm 1,000 miles away. I haven't done anything in that apartment. You're responsible. It's going to come out of your bond, quite frankly. And we'll have to go down the court and we'll let a judge decide. I honestly actually don't even know who is responsible for that. Pretty sure it's not me. I'd like it not to be me. But then the tenant also would like it not to be them as well. Anyway, property investing. Is that worth it in 2024 as we're moving forward? So this is a biggie, And I think it's worth a conversation around what is property investing? And going into 2024, one of my plans was to really start flipping properties. But the properties that we've sold have taken 7 months. From the date of agreeing the sale to the date of actually getting the money in the bank, that's taken 7 months. We even had a cash buyer pull out after 5 months. Ridiculous. Absolutely bonkers. I don't know what estate agents are up to. I don't know what the solicitors are up to, the lawyers doing the completions. 7 months is wholly unacceptable. So we're not going to bother doing that. We were going to buy big houses, split them up. We're going to sell them on the open market. We're not doing any of that anymore. And in fact, property for me, we might source some deals for other investors if that's what they want to do. But really, for me now, property investing, it's kind of done. And I think as well, and I'm biased here because of my experiences, I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm 51, and actually 51's not that old, unless you're 20, in which case it's ancient. But other people are my age as well, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they might feel 50. But I kind of think these days 50 is the new 40. I'm fitter than I've ever been. Although I've eaten a lot this last month. But I think 50 is the new 40. And like for now, I'm just clearing the decks. We'll probably keep some. Would I buy more property? Probably not is the answer. We're just going to grow the business for digital marketing agency, and we're going to grow that massively. Would we buy more businesses? We might buy some more businesses, but we're very, very focused on a digital marketing agency for 2024. We don't get calls at 10 o'clock at night saying my door's being kicked in when you're running content for clients. We don't get tenants whose boiler's gone down yet again. We don't get tenants fiddling with radiators. We had a house for 15 years, never had a single problem with any radiators. Tenant moves in, different radiator problem every week. Stop touching the radiators. You're messing it up. We had problems every other week. We got rid of that tenant after 6 months. Oh, magically the radiator problem just disappeared. We don't get any of that. We're in full control. If someone doesn't pay, I haven't got a mortgage that I still have to pay for. If someone doesn't pay, that's fine. We switch off for content. They're not paying us. That's fine. If they're not replying to us, that's fine. We just don't do the content. We just don't do the work. And we have God damn it. We have customers lining up to come and do work with us. I mean, by the way, it's taken a lot of work. We're putting in 12 hours days right now, and we're loving it. We might be tired, nearly fell asleep at a Christmas party yesterday, but we're really enjoying that process. And actually, I'm enjoying the process in the digital marketing agency like I used to enjoy the process in property. But property for me, this is a personal thing, the property for me is not the same as property for me used to be 25 years ago. It used to be invigorating and fun and exciting. And maybe I'm just tired. So for me, I don't think property investing is right for me. For you, that is a different kettle of fish entirely. I see people on social media getting really, really excited. The picture of the keys, our next property deal. And I'm excited for them, right? And this is kind of funny. I'm more excited for them, for them getting into property than I am about my property. But I've been doing this shit for 25 years. And now I'm just kind of tired, And I want more control back in my life. And I kind of don't have that with property. I went to Bali at the start of November. Amazing. I got calls about property. It drove me insane. I got 0 calls about digital marketing because my team just looked after it. And should you have a team with your property? What are you going to do? Get a letting agency who's then going to phone you and say you got a problem with your boiler and then charge you double for the new boiler and all the rest of it? No, we're not going to bother doing that. We've had letting agencies and they're just as bad as all the other letting agencies, despite them telling you that they're not that bad, and then they just cost you a whole ton more cash. Finder's fee is 1 month's rent. Oh yeah, after 6 months your tenant's moving out, so you're making more money off this deal than I am. Yeah, no, I don't think so. So for me, this is not where we are. But like I say, I get really excited. People sourcing deals, I get really excited by that because I'm excited by their by them doing these deals and closing these deals, and people getting into property and people doing serviced accommodation. I'm so excited for people buying a property or doing a rent to rent and then moving towards serviced accommodation. That shit excites me, but it doesn't excite me for doing that. And it's a bit weird, and I know, but it just doesn't kind of excite me anymore. And so it's time to move on. We're in we've had second half. We've had oranges at half time. I've just turned 51. I'm into my 50s. We're now in the third quarter, and that's how I like to do it. When I get to 75, I'll be in the fourth quarter, and so that's how I see the world. And maybe it's just time for change for me personally. But depending where you are in this cycle, and by the way, you might have run a digital marketing agency for 25 years and you're so sick and tired of that, and now it's time for you to move on. in which case we'd like to buy your business. But it's time for you to move on, and now it's time for you to move into property. All that is very, very valid, I think. But just for me right now, it's not. Are there some benefits to buying properties right now? I believe so, right? I know interest rates are high, and I know it's expensive getting mortgages, and I know it takes 7 months to buy, but I think rents are going to go up again. I reckon 20 to 30% minimum in the next 2 years. Let's call it 2 to 3 years, 20 to 30%. I guarantee it's 20% in the next 3 years. Guarantee that. It's just what else is it going to be effectively? But anyway, I hope you find that useful, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. My name's Dan Lotto. Have yourselves a wicked day. Take care.